What if everything you've ever seen, touched, or believed was just a shadow on a wall? What if the reality you wake up to every single day is nothing more than a carefully constructed illusion? Over 2,000 years ago, the Greek philosopher Plato asked us to imagine a dark, subterranean cave. Deep inside this cave, there is a group of prisoners. They have been chained together in this darkness since the very day they were born. Their legs and their necks are bound so tightly that they cannot turn their heads. They can only stare straight ahead, forced to look at a blank, rough stone wall in front of them. Behind these prisoners, elevated on a ledge, burns a massive, blazing fire. And between the fire and the prisoners, there is a raised walkway. Every day, people walk along this path carrying objects, statues of animals, plants, and human figures. The light from the roaring fire casts the shadows of these objects onto the blank stone wall right in front of the prisoners. To the prisoners, these shadows are not just tricks of the light. They have no concept of a fire or statues or the outside world. To them, the shadows are reality. When the people carrying the objects speak, the prisoners hear the echoes bouncing off the cave walls, and they believe the shadows themselves are speaking. It is the only truth they have ever known. As Plato wrote, how could they see anything but the shadows if they were never allowed to move their heads? They name the shadows. They study their patterns. The prisoners, who are best at predicting which shadow will appear next, are praised as geniuses and given great honors. They build an entire society, an entire hierarchy based completely on a lie. But one day, something unimaginable happens. One of the prisoners breaks free. His chains snap. For the first time in his life, he can turn his head. He looks behind him, and the blazing light of the fire pierces his eyes. The pain is excruciating. His instincts scream at him to turn back to the comforting, familiar shadows on the wall. The truth hurts. But he forces his eyes to adjust. He sees the fire. He sees the wooden statues being carried, and in that terrifying moment he realizes that his entire life, everything he ever believed, everything his society values, has been a complete and utter illusion. But his journey isn't over. He is dragged up a steep, jagged path out of the subterranean cave and into the outside world. As he breaches the surface, he is immediately blinded by the sun. The light is so intense, so overwhelming, that he is completely incapacitated. Slowly, painfully, his eyes adjust. First, he can only look at the shadows on the ground, then the reflections in the water. Finally, he looks up. He sees the trees, he sees the vibrant colors of the earth, he sees the sky, the stars, and finally the sun itself, the true source of all light and life. He has stepped into true reality. Plato wasn't just telling a fictional story about a cave. The cave represents our society. The shadows on the wall are the false beliefs, the propaganda, the social media feeds, and the hollow opinions we are fed every single day. We spend our lives staring at screens, chasing wealth, status, and likes, arguing over shadows on a wall, completely convinced that this is all there is to life. The fire represents the architects of this illusion, the media, the politicians, the algorithms that dictate what we see and how we think. The freed prisoner is overcome with pity for his friends still trapped in the darkness. He rushes back down into the cave to tell them the truth. He wants to free them. But when he returns, his eyes are no longer used to the dark. He stumbles. He can't see the shadows clearly anymore. When he tries to explain the sun, the trees, and the outside world, the other prisoners think he has gone completely insane. They look at him stumbling in the dark, and they conclude that leaving the cave destroys your mind. They don't want to hear about the outside world. The shadows are comfortable. The cave is safe. The truth is terrifying. Plato warned that if the freed prisoner tried to unchain them and drag them into the light, they would become violent. They would fight him. They would even try to kill the man who tried to free them. The true philosopher has a duty to go back into the cave and free the others, even if they hate him for it. It is the heaviest burden of enlightenment. So now I ask you, look at your own life. Are you willing to endure the pain of questioning everything you believe? Or are you just staring at shadows? Drop your answer in the comments below, and subscribe to find out if a machine can ever truly think in our next episode, The Chinese Room.